When it comes to real estate, everything is negotiable, and in the current slow market, you can strike gold if you move fast. So how do you close a deal quickly and still get a hefty discount on the asking price? Joining us now to share how she's managing to do just that is Amanda Gould, CEO of HighSpec Properties. Amanda, as we just discussed before the break, this is a really good time for you.
It's a fantastic time. We're getting some really great deals. Doesn't matter what the budget, we're really getting some good deals.
How are you finding the vendor sentiment at this stage? I mean, it is a lot of adjustment, and I presume it's all about relationships with you, with the agents. And with your purchasers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's how much the agent is actually, the vendors are listening to the agents, because the agents and the media, of course, are telling them what's happening, but a lot of them are still trying to find it hard to price adjust from last year. Even though we're nearly at the end of the year, we're still seeing some vendors, but others are like, we have to get out for whatever reason, and there's, and they're taking it and they're understanding that they've got to cop it.
Now, buying a house is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make in your life. Absolutely. And you're encouraging people to rush it.
Yes.
Why is that? Look,
the only reason I'm telling them when we're doing deals to rush it is because we've done our due diligence. I would never ask somebody to rush it unless we'd done our pricing, we'd looked at the strata and building inspection, we'd had the contract reviewed, and we made sure their finance hasn't expired. Those things are paramount. Once we've got those in place, why can't we rush it? We'll be... nobody's doing that at the moment. So we're getting in quickly and we're getting out with a signed contract, which is what the client wants in the end.
You use that term almost like a good Boy Scout, of which I was, like, be prepared.
Yeah.
And obviously for people who are watching, you're not advocating for people to go in blindly. It's a matter of the market is changing, but you think it's more of a strategy to almost have a lot of front. It's confidence, and to drive it to help make the deal happen quickly.
Absolutely. Like I've always done this. This is the way I've actually operated my business for a long time. So it doesn't matter what type of market, I usually move swiftly, and agents know that, so they trust the process. But if you start hesitating, and then, which a lot of people are doing at the moment, they can miss out on a deal because someone like me can swoop in and get it.
And so let's look at some of the ways that you do that. How do you make sure that these are obviously things you've got to have ticked off pretty quickly in a short space of time?
Okay, so I actually bought something last week in under 24 hours, which is a record for even me. I saw a property at 6 p.m. on the Thursday with a client. They liked it. I actually found out the motivations of the vendor. I knew it had been on the market for some time and it had 3 price adjustments, and they had to sell. So we found that out. I actually, because of my contacts and people that I'm using all the time, I actually called a solicitor that evening at 7 o'clock. She reviewed the contract for me. I reviewed the strata report at about 8 or 9 o'clock. I had everything ready to go, and at 9 a.m. I had the contract with a 66W waiving our cooling off rights, because we'd done the due diligence very quickly, but we had done it, and we moved forward with an exchange by 10 a.m. that morning.
And are you talking about 240 Bondi Road?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's take a look at that property and tell us a bit more about the deal. What were they asking for initially?
Okay, so these clients are actual flippers, so they're coming in to renovate and flip, although at this time of year they will keep it
let's just explain the term flipper.
Yes.
It's not an insult.
No, and it's not a dolphin. It's the people who come in and actually, renovate the property quite quickly and then put it back on the market quite fast to almost stay in the same market that they're bought in. So they're pretty well prepared people. They'll be painting, they'll be looking at the flooring, they'll be looking at the cabinetry, bathrooms, tapware, window coverings and light fitting. So it's pretty aesthetic, quick changes that can be done without anything structural, therefore affecting the wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying a screaming amount of work that needs to be done.
It doesn't look at the photos are great. However, when you actually get in there, it is just very, very tired. It needs work, and I've already bought in this building before for one of my renovators upstairs, and he's just done a magnificent renovation, which will come on in the new year. And there's good profit in Bondi still.
So it was on 900,000, and the guide was 875. How did it end up?
So it was 900 the guide. They wanted actually 950 when it first came on. Then they dropped it to 875 guide. Then they dropped it to 850, and I actually bought it for 815.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so some significant savings.
And why are you confident that they'll still be able to, you think they'll be able to flip it for 1.1?
About 1.1, yeah.
Are you confident that they will do that given where the market's moving? And
assuming that they do a renovation to a high standard, which is what the people in that area in Bondi and the inner city are expecting, yes. I still think the money is there if you buy well. It's all about the purchase price at the moment. So I think we've bought well enough to give a buffer in there. So even if they have to sell for $1.05 million, the profit margin's still there.
Now, speed is obviously fast. You know, a fast turnover is a great thing to be able to negotiate. Hopefully get people money. I'm going to give money in your pocket really quickly if you do the deal fast. What other things do you think you can be negotiating in this time?
Look, I think the terms, it's really important to find out what the vendor's motivations are. Do they need the money quickly or do they need a longer settlement? And try to marry the two with what the purchaser wants. That's really important. A lot of people just think, oh, it's 42 days, I'll just put 42 days on. The first question I ask is, what does the vendor want? So they might want 2 weeks and they might already have purchased something else because they're settling then. Or they might want a longer settlement for whatever reason. Maybe the kids are in school and they don't want to move until the school year finishes. So they're the sort of things that I ask as motivations mostly. And I always try to include a 66W. I haven't used a 5-day cooling off for some time now.
What is the 66W?
So in New South Wales, we can waive our cooling off rights if we've done our due diligence. So that the 5-day cooling off rights was put in place for people to do their building and pest, have the contract reviewed, get their finance in order. But we get all of that done before we make the offer. So that's really important. So that's why it's easy to waive. It's auction conditions. So that's what a 66W is in all auctions.
All right, let's talk another time you've put this into play very recently. Darlinghurst, tell us what happened with this deal.
Okay, Darlinghurst. Which one was this one? Was this
Darlinghurst
one?
was Barcon Avenue. You do so many deals, you don't even know what.
We bought 3 in a week 2 weeks ago, so I'm like, which one? Okay, so Barcon Avenue, this was off market. Now, I knew this agent very well. He knows that I deal with a lot of renovators. This is another renovator. And the lady was elderly going into a home. She didn't want opens. So there's a lot of motivation for her not to take it to market, pay for a marketing campaign and styling and all that sort of thing. They wanted $760, which was quite reasonable for what they wanted. I bought that for $748, so a $12,000 savings still. And they'll be able to get $1 million for that. Possibly higher, but $1 million.
What will they need to do to it?
They need to take out a wall. This is actually one that's already been renovated.
Yeah, it looks like this.
This is not the one. This is the one upstairs. Because it's off market, we had no photos.
Right.
But they'll need to take out the wall.
So this is basically the work that's been done, because this does look pretty good as you were speaking.
This was the one next door. So this is sold for $1.05 million in November last year.
Okay.
Wow.
So even if we take a price adjustment of $50,000 off that, they can still flip that for about $1 million.
Yeah, it's pretty realistic.
And no one else went through that. That was just us.
And being an Art Deco block, it does have good character in there to be able to, you know, it is a double brick block. We know that that's quite solid. The floors are usually pretty good. They're timber throughout. So there's some key things to renovate a block like that for the keen, astute renovator.
Absolutely, and it's got a beautiful courtyard. Well, it will be. It's quite ugly at the moment.
Is it?
So a lovely courtyard, and that's what people, especially in that area, there's no car spots or anything around there, so you've got to have an outdoor area. There's no balcony, so you have to have something because it is so urban and people are living on top of each other. You've got to have that. So it's just about them creating the wow factor.
Okay, and just proving that this isn't just some great luck. You've got another one in Surrey Hills.
Not far away from us.
This is Reservoir Street.
Yes, one of my favourite streets in Surrey Hills. So the agent, this was off market also. The agent wanted $1.02 million for that. We actually ended up buying that for $978. So a fantastic saving there also. And that was like a New York loft-style apartment, very high ceilings, no parking, 2 bedrooms, but a great price because back in the day, Reservoir, you couldn't get a 2-bedroom without parking under $1 million in Reservoir Street. So this is a fantastic deal. It needs a little bit of work, but it's still, they're first-home buyers, so they'll be in there for a while.
And also, to be honest with you, I mean, look, it's a massive amount of money from the guy to, it's $42,000 difference. But it's not, you know, a fire sale.
No.
So it's just the vendor being realistic that the market's adjusted, and depending on how long they've been there and how it held the property, that will obviously affect how much profit they've been able to make.
And the vendor's motivations. Again, it always comes back to, do they have to sell? Most of the time they do.
And how motivated were the vendors in that case?
Very motivated. They wanted the deal done, and we pushed hard for our clients to get it under $1 million, and we just kept pushing and pushing until we got it because, again, it's about us working quickly, and the agents know that. So a bird in the hand, instead of waiting for someone for a possible another $20,000 or $28,000, is it worth it? Probably not.
Yeah, especially,
And people are slightly nervous about housing prices in Sydney at the moment.
The market, from when people put on, I'm in the middle of negotiating something that's been on the market for quite some time at the moment, and it's been been on, and when she put it, the agent put it on the market to when it is now, the actual market has shifted in that 40-day mark. So it's paramount for them to take offers seriously, especially when they're on a contract.
And also from my days, many moons ago in real estate myself, once it's on for the market for a longer time, it actually gives negatives to the property that aren't necessarily there, because people are scared, like, well, there must be something wrong with this property because it's been there for so long. So it's then perceived.
Like nobody eats at the empty restaurant.
Yeah, correct.
Now, Elizabeth Bay, this one's in Ward Avenue, another recent deal of yours. You're on fire at the moment.
Yes, yeah, 1 week 3, we bought 1 week 3, then a week before 1, the week before that too. So yeah, it's been pretty good. So I bought this at Damien Cooley's auction, and there was a first home, well, 2 first home buyers. That was myself and someone else bidding, and we ended up getting this under the reserve. They had to stop the auction and ask for a new written reserve to be able to sell it to me, $7,000 under the written reserve.
Now, this obviously has had quite a good reno done. The kitchen, the colour, the tones even in there already tell me that it's been cleaned up, and the styling.
Good size too.
The styling is really maximising that, all of the clean line furniture, and making the space feel bigger. What about things like levees, etc., when there's the pool and things like this?
Look, a little bit more for that, and it does have a lift, but it's such a good location, and it really, anything under $1,000 in that area is
under $1 million
per quarter. No, for the strata fees is great. So yeah, it's a really good. That was a really good buy for our client, and $7,000 under the reserve. The reserve was $850.
Well, and no parking, 1 bed, 1 bath. It shows that the Sydney market, it's still really, out of reach for a lot of people.
A lot of people, yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think for people watching now? I mean, you do this. This is your job. You're an expert. For other people watching and maybe looking to try to do things themselves, what do you think they should be trying to avoid when negotiating? What's some sort of mistakes that they should just be aware of?
I think the biggest one is a lot of people have mistrust with the agents, and that lack of trust means that they're not actually responding quick enough to let them know that they're interested in the property, or they start playing games, and then the agent will just sell it to someone else if they don't think they're interested. So I see that a lot, and even
but a healthy level of cynicism helps.
It's okay.
With agents,
you've got to do your due diligence and understand what the property's worth.
They are ultimately working for the vendor, not for you.
Absolutely, but not telling them that you're interested and then not answering the phone, etc. And then the agent's trying to call you and say, hey, look, I'm putting this deal together. Are you interested in being included in this or not? I have seen that a lot because I've been on the receiving end of actually buying the property because they haven't been able to get onto any of the other buyers. So, that's one thing. I think, not negotiating on terms, making sure that you negotiate on terms. A lot of people make the mistake of just negotiating on price. So again, finding out what the motivations are of the vendor. So there's a number of things that we can include when negotiating, and being available when you know that there is a deal going on, and being on the phone. I've actually had clients where I've said, I'm going to be buying this in the next 24 hours. I want your phone by you, and I know you're busy, but I need you. I'll just send you a text, get out of a meeting and come and speak to me so you can give me authority to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important decision.
It's a big decision. It's a lot of money.
And a fast game's a good game.
Absolutely.
Listen, you two girls are all over it, aren't you? Amanda Gould, I love having you on the show. We both do, as always. You're very clear with your information, and you just seem to be happy and jolly all the way through it, which keeps the whole thing a positive experience. And for those vendors, they get the best price they can for the market for the time, and why not just get the pain over and done with and move on, and whatever the situation is. So it's really great advice. And you're out today now, going off to auctions now. So
I am. Fingers crossed.